Good evening. Late night vibes. Late night vibes is just foots. Well, unless somebody wants to jump in here, but we got a lot to talk about tonight. Hopefully you guys are doing well. I'm doing well. Whew, man, what a day. I actually just got in, had football practice out there working with the youth, doing what I love, coaching, and got a chance to really review the cuts, got a chance to really look at the roster. And I can say that I won't say that I'm surprised, but then I also won't say that I'm like, what's up, everybody? Um, I'll also say like just it's very interesting. And so before we get to cuts, hopefully you guys are up. Um, before we get to cuts, yeah, I'm glad that you caught the live, Rainy. Before we get to cuts, I just it's gonna be very interesting to see the Cowboys' strategy at certain positions. And I want to actually talk about before we get to cuts. I want to talk about the Trey Lance interview because I've been doing some deep diving. I've been I just been really intrigued with why they cut Trey Lance. I've been really intrigued with um what excuse me when I say why San Francisco cut Trey Lance. I've been really intrigued with what would his mentality be. You could tell a lot from body language. You could tell a lot from contact. You could just tell a lot. And I'll say this with the research that I've done. Again, I would even go as far as to say it's a true 50-50 split with Trey Lance and San Francisco fans as to not only why he was cut way too early. There are fans mad at the staff in the front office and mad at John Lynch and these guys. How could you say at the same time you lucked into drafting the guy pretty much last in the draft and you didn't know it? You didn't know who he would be. So it's definitely interesting to see how, number one, how all this is played out with Lance, but then number two, and most importantly, was he done wrong? You hear Jimmy Garoppolo come out and say, you could tell by his response, it was one of those things that was like, well, what do you think about the situation? When I heard what he was talking about, um, when I heard his interview, and he was asked a question and all that type of stuff. So, um, we got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about and long story short, the Trey Lance situation. I think when I heard him talk, I can honestly say, and I mean this part of it, y'all. Trey Lance, I feel like he is it's a real breath of fresh air. Like you could tell he really wants to learn. I would even go so far as to say he really wasn't coached correctly in San Francisco. He really was not coached correctly in San Francisco. So is what it is. I'm gonna say this, and I heard Broadus say it, and I shout out to Brian Broadus. Does great work. Do not rule out Trey Lance coming in, sitting behind Dak, learning, getting better, and I won't say Dallas moving on from Dak because I don't think that will actually happen. But Trey Lance getting better and learning because the traits are really really good. Like this isn't EJ Manuel type traits. This guy is a true athlete. I'm standing on that. I said it ahead of that draft. I mean, go pull up videos. All my stuff is still on his page. I mean, I was doing a lot of mock drafts back then. I was extremely high on Trey Lance. I thought he should have been the number one overall pick. Definitely thought he should have went before Zach Wilson. I was not sold on Zach Wilson. I didn't like his frame. I think that Trey Lance is a lot bigger than people think. He's a lot muscular, and he's a true athlete. So If nothing else, Dallas is betting on traits, and I think that him learning how to practice, him learning how to be a pro, where he doesn't have to exactly. I love this. I love this right here. Oh, excuse me. I might love that too, but I love this right here. I 100% think that Dallas is betting on traits, and I think that within them betting on traits, guys, I think what happens is, yeah, he is a true. He's a true 6'3", 6'4", man, and he can move. He can move. Like, people really have to go refresh and see how good of an athlete this guy is. And I just don't know if his skill set was catered to. But this isn't a Trey Lance show. I just want to say that, like, just listen to him talk. He 100% gets it. He gets why he's here. For everything, every other word was learn. Every other word was learn, learn, learn. I'm cool. Like, hey, Trey. And then, like, shout out to that. Like, open them up. The first thing that they said was, yeah, his college tape is outside of this world. It's unreal. And, the first thing that he said about Dak, which was really cool, was, Dak was here with he opened them with open arms. Yeah, Special K, my homie Special K. What's up, bro? Yeah, I think I really want people to understand, first of all, how complicated Kyle Shanahan's offense is. The type of coach that Shanahan is, he's a very demanding coach. I'm not saying that you got to soften things up for Trey, but dog, like, the moment that I draft Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo's out the building. Because what'll happen is the locker room, these are guys and grown men with thoughts and opinions, and they run to the coaches and they run the quality control. And the moment that you kept Jimmy Garoppolo around, Trey Lance was doomed. I tweeted that and I stand on that. I don't need stats. I don't need his injury history. I don't need any of that. You keep a quarterback around who's had success and he was able to move the team, and you bring in a young kid and he may struggle a little bit early, players are they're going to want to go back to said quarterback because their job is on the line. It's just that simple, y'all. And so in that, and you do that, that's what happened. And so now his confidence is shot. Like, a bunch of things happen. And so to me, Trey was doomed, and they had to know that. I mean, you make a decision on impulse, and I don't know if it was on impulse. I do know that Kyle Shanahan was looking for the next Josh Allen. And to be honest with you, Trey's skill set in college was probably better than Josh Allen's, if we're talking about just in college alone. And it's interesting, the Bills were in on Trey Lance. The Chiefs were in on Trey Lance. Like, they wanted to see what was going on with Trey Lance. The Ravens were in on Trey Lance. So organizations who know what they're doing really wanted Trey Lance. There's a reason why Jerry said, we'll give up a fourth. We're not getting off the phone. So I just really believe that they mismanaged it. You give up that many assets for a player. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that it works. I don't think that San Francisco did, and I think that they made mistakes along the way. And, Kyle's interview was very telling. And Trey's new interview with the Cowboys was very telling. He was humble. He wants to learn. I think that he will have success. I don't know what that success will look like, but I think that he will have success. I think that he'll learn. And again, shout out to Dak, because one thing for sure, two things for certain, Dak is an ultimate pro. He said what he said. All right. Before we get to the cuts, I just want to talk about the 2000 and let me get to it. I want to talk about the 2021 draft. So to me, when you talk about the 21 class, obviously we got to talk about it. Kelvin Joseph no longer on the team, and I'm going to do all the players who got cut, but I just want to talk about this draft class because 2 to 3 years out, you can start judging the draft class. Kelvin Joseph no longer on the team. Michael Parsons is a future Hall of Famer. I mean that. Osa, I think Osa is a future Pro Bowler. I think that he'll have a Pro Bowl season this year. Bringing in Mozzie, what you have in Hankins. I think that he had. I think I'm going out on a limb and say that Osa Odigizua will have a Pro Bowl year. Chauncey Golston is a contributor, possible starter here in the future. We'll see. Depending on who you ask, Nashawn Wright has been Josh Ball's a wash. I put the soap emoji, so that was a semi. You know, the thing with Semi Fayoko, um, I just don't know if I ever saw a player who had dog in him. I think Semi's a nice guy. Um, I think the Semi could, this is gonna sound really mean, right? But I really think that Semi Fayoko could play like in the XFL. Um, and that's not me being funny. Like, I think that that's just being honest. Yeah, my thoughts on Kelvin Joseph too, guys. I mean, um, I was actually pretty consistent after the first time he got in trouble. When it came to Kelvin Joseph, I was just like, I know me and Vach would fight about Kelvin a lot. I don't know if Vach is on here, but I like Kelvin Joseph. The problem with Kelvin was, this is the guy's honest truth. The problem with Kelvin Joseph was that he he just didn't take football serious. Kelvin didn't take football serious, y'all. Uh, Kelvin didn't take football serious, man. I said that. I said that everybody doesn't love this game the same as others, and with Kelvin, I just don't know how serious he took the game. I mean, he loved to rap and do all that type of stuff, and that's fine. I'm with you, but like, hey, man, like we lost the game because of Kelvin Joseph, unfortunately, and I don't really think he cared. Now, the fact is, he was turned into a good little decent player on special teams, but when you got a guy like Jalen Brooks who can play an actual position on the field well, and he's going to, like, Jalen Brooks, if y'all think he's good a receiver, he is a special teams ace. Like, that's what he was drafted for. Remember that I told y'all that. There's really no need for Kelvin Joseph. I think that Nashawn Wright is going to do well on teams. So I try to tell people that a lot of these draft profiles be right. It's the same thing that we're unfortunately experiencing now with Sam Williams. I think that Sam Williams is going to be a really good player, but I'm telling you now, he's going to have baggage throughout his whole NFL career. Save this, timestamp this, 13 minutes and 23 seconds, foot stamped it. Sam Williams is going to have baggage throughout his whole NFL career. That's just who he is. You do write-ups, you talk to guys, you talk to people. That's just who he is. I hate to say it, but he can play, and so Dallas will put up with that for a while. I think he's a better player than Kelvin Joseph, so they'll put up with it. Yeah, man, and I'm glad to give y'all my my critique. Yeah, and the problem that another thing with Kelvin is like, I never forget covering him when he got kicked off of that LSU roster. What's up, 2I? 2I in the building. When he got kicked off of that LSU roster and then went to Kentucky, and it's like they just had like that Kentucky staff had nothing good to say about Kelvin Joseph. That probably should have been a red flag. I did like the fact that so I'll say this about the cornerback position, right? They were able for atone for their sins with Kelvin Joseph with Deron Bland, so it washes itself out. All right, that's my Kelvin rant, my semi rant. I love no, and you're right, 2I. And you know what's crazy, 2I? If we being completely honest, like if we being completely honest, right? 2I, this team didn't really hit on Micah. Like, they lucked into Micah. Like, let's be real. They lucked into Micah. But nobody says luck into Micah. You just hit it in the draft. So it's not good, better, in between. You lucked into Micah because Micah didn't play football that year, that COVID year. And you want to know his tape from the year before, because the truth is, everybody at Penn State, and I tell this story all the time. I got a tackle. He actually played. My buddy is a tackle for the Packers now. I actually worked at his camp, Rasheed Walker. He plays for the Packers, and he said Michael was the best player that he's ever played with or against. So, but Micah, being who he is, makes your draft. I said this. I said Micah makes your draft. I still give that class a B plus because I say this all the time. If you can get 3 starters out of a draft, it's an A plus draft. If you get 3 starters out of a draft, if you get 4 to 5, if you get 3 starters and 4 to 5 contributors, including those 3, oh, it's an A plus draft for sure. So, and then going right down the list, Simi, Wash, Israel Mukuamu, contributor with upside. I don't think that Izzy has reached his ceiling. And that's the beauty of that 2021 draft. I don't think that Izzy has reached his ceiling. So that's a blessing. And then you got Mac Forniak, who, when I made this tweet, he wasn't cut. And I believe Forniak is cut. Yeah, I think he's cut. So, wash. I mean, 7th round pick. I mean, the fact that he hung around this long. And so that kind of like is what it is. But I definitely think that Izzy. So I'm gonna tell you who made this draft what it is. Micah is a Hall of Famer, so that automatically makes your class if nothing else, a C. But then the fact that you got Osa, Chauncey, and Izzy. So that's 3 contributors, 1 starter. Well, 2 contributors, 1 starter. And I think that Chauncey Golston is going to shock a lot of people this year. I really, really do. So that's what makes that draft class still, to me, a B plus. It's not quite an A, but it's a B plus, and that's a great draft. I mean, dog, you look at some of these classes, these folks be striking out bad. So we went over Trey Lance. We went over that 2021 class. I really just wanted to touch on that 2021 class because, to me, oh yeah, no. A Special K. 2020 was a special draft. I mean, to get CeeDee Lamb and Trevon Diggs, outstanding. I like 2022's draft because of what you did with DeRon Bland. So, and I like Tyler Smith and Sam Williams. I mean, dog, Sam Williams is a future Pro Bowler in this league. Tyler Smith is a future Pro Bowler in this league. I don't know if they're as good as Micah. Like, I don't know if they're Hall of Famers. But, dog, to get Pro Bowlers, I'll take it. Like, if Sam Williams could stay clean off the field, I could see 12 to 13 sacks year in, year out. I mean, he has that ability. And that's a fact, Special K. We've been very spoiled. So I think that I will say this. The way we draft, develop, and get kids on the field early, these young men on the field early, is second to none. It's second to none. It's second to none. I mean, look at this year. Dog, Deuce Vaughn. I mean, we know about him because we really cover this team and we do the underground work. But I mean, dog, Deuce Vaughn fell to the 6th round, and the league is stupid. They just didn't think. Deuce Vaughn could really play football. Deuce Vaughn kicked Malik Davis off this team because Dallas gave him a chance. And I actually like Malik Davis. I didn't see special with Malik Davis, right? So I tweeted. That's why you guys never heard me write home about Malik Davis because he had a few runs, but I just didn't see special. Now, the one who did change my mind was Rico Dowdle. Bliss pickup check, the physicalness. But the problem with Dowdle is I don't know how healthy he'll be throughout the year. And I believe that's why they held on to Hunter Luepke because of that position flex. And I think Dallas was kind of played chess and showed less of him just to make sure they kept him around. Interesting. But the running back situation is interesting to say the least. but the whole roster is interesting to say the least. So that's that 2021 class. Let's just talk about cuts. I know it's late, so we won't be on too long. But Jabril Cox, I'll do the headliners, right? Jabril Cox. To be honest with you, I started singing this tune about a year ago. Love Jabril Cox. I don't think he was the same after the knee. And our problem with Jabril, and I'll just be honest with you, I just don't know how physical he was. And like 2i knows this. I'm always talking about physicality with backers. I think Jabril can run sideline to sideline. But dog, in the league, you got to be a little off. Like you got to have a little bit of that Any Given Sunday. Y'all remember that Any Given Sunday movie? It's just a little off. You got to be that type of player between the tackle, like Donovan Wilson. If you a linebacker, Donovan Wilson, he really want to knock you out. To Marvin Overshawn, he has some of that. He want to hit you. And I just don't know if Jabril was able to get back to that because, he actually went to North Dakota State too, transferred there from, and he transferred to LSU. I think Jabril can play in this league, but I just don't know if he was I just don't know if he's a starting NFL linebacker. I mean, I just kind of think that's the best way to put it, y'all. I just don't know if he's an NFL linebacker. And I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, love Jabril Cox, but I just think that's how it is. I'll kind of just zap through these guys. Isaiah Land, I know that's 2i's, one of her pet cats. I think Isaiah Land could play. I just think it was a numbers game with him. And you just couldn't justify keeping that many DNs. You weren't able to get him switched to off-ball linebacker in time. And so that's my thoughts on it. So I'll just leave that there. Tyrus Wheat, Jalen Cropper, Dennis Houston. I mean, think about this. Dennis Houston was, I believe, one of your starting receivers last year because Dak liked him. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Dennis Houston, Ontario Drummond, Tyron Johnson, Malik Davis. Malik Davis, again, one of those ones. Unfortunately, Alec Lindstrom, Brock Hoffman, Seth Green, Sean McEwen, D'Angelo Mandel, Sheldon Redwine, Quentin Bohanna. Quentin Bohanna is interesting because I think that they liked him a lot, but I don't think Luke, you would have made it through waivers either. Dwayne Johnson, I covered him. Go back to my draft time. I said that he was one of those underrated gems, that he's just a freak athlete, and I think that he's going to help you some in the H-back tight end game as well. So I'm definitely with Dwayne Johnson on that. Dwayne, my guy. Lukey would not have made it through waivers. I'm going to tell you that now. Josh Butler, Trent, Siege, Isaiah Alarcon. I know Isaiah Alarcon wouldn't make it. Love him, but football may just be too much for him. Jose Barber, Miles Brooks, Tyler Coyle, like him. Probably not enough. Princeton Fant, Matt Forniak, interesting. Simi Fayoko, again, just don't know how much dog he had in him. I like the guy. I think he means well. Probably better in that like XFL, CFL, NFL, bro. You got to have that grit with you. It just is what it is. The league is different. Chuma Edoga, no surprise there. Just was a waste of free agency move. Malik Jefferson, Will Greer, and Alex Taylor. So they moved on from those guys. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to say this real quick. I know I'm jumping all over the place, and I'll get back to our roster and our depth chart and all that type of stuff. Guys, it's been a lot made that I just want to make everybody aware of this, right? There's been a lot made of the Cowboys not contacting Dak Prescott when they signed Hunter Lupke. Not Hunter Lupke. He went to the same school as Trey Lance. Let me make this very clear. The Joneses' responsibility is to the Cowboys, not Dak Prescott. I love Dak. Dak don't run the team, y'all. Unfortunately, that's the way the NFL works. Teams do this. The Pats signed Jimmy Garoppolo. That they used the 2 on Garoppolo. The Eagles did it with Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. They don't have to. I hate this narrative that they should have reached out to Dak and let them know that they were signing Trey Lance. No. So I just want to, when you guys are talking to your homies and you guys in a barbershop and this, that, and the third, listen to me. Dak can ask for $75 million next year and try to fleece the team. We got to pay CeeDee Lamb, Michael Parsons. Tony may play amazing this year and you got to pay him. At the end of the day, Dak don't run a team. I hate to say it like that. I'm going to always root for this team. I love Dak. I love every player that's come through. I love Tony Romo. But I'm a Cowboys supporter. I cover the Cowboys first. So, like, yeah, this isn't, like, I just want everybody to understand that. Should they have reached out to Dak for what? He don't run the team, bro. He don't run the team. So I just want you guys, yeah. No, we got a laundry list of players that got to get paid. You know, he don't run the team. So I just want to make sure that like everybody understands that part. Like, and that's not a knock on Dak. No player. Like, that's just not how the NFL works. So like, don't get caught up in some of these narratives. Oh yeah, they should have. No. Dak doesn't run the team, bro. Like, and then it's another thing that bothers me about like Cowboys fans is y'all wanted a lot of people wanted this front office to make moves. And then when they make moves, we whining and we crying. You can't have it both ways. The Dallas Cowboys saw an opportunity to make their roster stronger. Will McClay says it all the time. I love you, but my job is to replace you. That's the end of it. If they think that Trey Lance helps the team, they're going to sign Trey Lance. That's the end of it. So I just want to make sure that we get that understood. All right, so let's talk about the depth chart because it's officially out now. Michael Gallup is one of your ex receivers. Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb. So those are your starting 3 receivers. Jalen Brooks made the team. I think that Jalen Brooks making the team is a sign and is one of those things that you just, first of all, you're just extremely happy for Brooks because he earned it, guys. He came in. He never did hit that. I wouldn't even call it a rookie wall, but like that training camp. He never hit that training camp receiver. Oh, I'm doing great, and then out of nowhere I fall off a bridge. Like he never hit that wall. And so I'm happy for Jalen Brooks. He was drafted to be. I didn't think that he would make the roster, but he was drafted to be more of a special teams guy. He comes in as a receiver, catches everything. Really has some like Chris Carter in this game, like really good route runner, not a speed guy, but gets open. Just a great freaking route runner, dog. Like can run every route, every single route. Yep, that's right, Tyler Powell. I like what you're saying. Yep, quarterbacks. I mean, Green Bay drafted a quarterback every year. I don't think they called Brett Favre every year and said, "Oh, we're drafting the quarterback." No, that's what they do. Quarterbacks are gold. So, that's just the end of it. So just I don't want people running with this narrative. I love Dak Prescott. I really do love the guy. I think he's but nobody's bigger than the team. So all this thinking that you got to consult with him, nobody's bigger than the team, bro. Unfortunately. You see, they got Zeke up out of here. And, these guys have been paid. So it is what it is. So yeah, that's a good comment. Jalen Brooks, I mean, you got to be happy for the guy. Jalen Tolbert, you got to be happy for Jalen Tolbert. I think that Jalen Tolbert just went out there and focused his mind, locked in, got better in the offseason. He talked about it, but he didn't over talk about it. I mean, he did an interview here. I remember his interview at the Senior Bowl. That was like a really good interview, and then he just went to work. And so you're really happy for Jalen Brooks. I mean, excuse me, Jalen Brooks and Jalen Tolbert. I think that both of them at some point in the year will contribute. I think that Jalen Tolbert actually is going to have a really good year, and I feel justified because I'm like, damn. When I was watching Tolbert, was this a fluke? When I'm watching, my eyes deceiving me? No, like he can do. I said it. Like he can win on the outside. He can win on the inside. He's a big body. He's twitchier than people think. He really reminds me of a faster Kenny Galladay. So I'm just happy that he was able to catch on. And if there's an injury, he steps right in, and I think that he makes plays. So he made it. And then Kevontae Turpin. This one is interesting because I think that Kevontae Turpin has a chance to have some real juice. And like as a zone beater, sitting in windows, not just a gadget guy, but like in his West Coast scheme, actually being a part of the scheme, a quick game, all that type of stuff. So I think that they'll have a package of plays for him ready. And again, if injury does arise, I think he's a guy that they feel like they can rely on. I didn't forget about your super chat, Pedro. Make sure we keep the super chats coming. Much love to y'all. We'll talk about it on the defensive side of the ball. Offensive line. Now that's interesting because right now we don't have a backup center, and so I don't know what's going to happen after waivers, but I'm pretty sure that the Cowboys will attack that position at some point. But let's talk about it. Tyler Smith, Tyler Biotish, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele. So that looks about right. Matt Walesko would be your backup right tackle. Awesome Richard, I think, would be a swing left side player. TJ Bass, right side player. And that's it. So better hope you don't have those injuries. But that looks about right outside of the center position. You would need somebody to step in. I think that it will probably have to be I think that Zach will probably kick over. They would do some shuffling, bring in Awesome, maybe they would have to do some crazy stuff to reshuffle if the center went down, but that just is what it is. Thank you, Haley 94 Where. Much love to you. Tony Pollard obviously is your one at running back. Rico Dowdle. I want to get to Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle really, not only did he surprise me, but it was a pleasant surprise. When it comes to these running backs, I kind of feel the same way that I felt about receivers. Like, yeah, I got to see it. And then when I saw it with Dowdle, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Really physical. Has some juice. Has a lot of juice, actually. And I can honestly say, like, Rico Dowdle might make some noise if he plays healthy. Like, I know that we're talking about Deuce Vaughn, who he's gonna get his touches. He's gonna be a fan favorite. But with Dowdle, man, he is physical. Like he was more physical than I thought. And like I'm gonna always lean to those type of guys because as those guys start to lean on you and lean on you and lean on you, that's when the game it starts to get interesting. Can he stay healthy? Absolutely, Jackie. What's up, Jackie? If he can stay healthy, I completely agree. And I think Tony Pollard is gonna stay at his number of touches. So Tony Pollard is gonna stay at his number of touches. If Rico can do what he needs to do, and then you get some spell work with Deuce, it'll be fun in your tight end room. Jake Ferguson, this is interesting that Luke Schoonmaker is listed as your number 2 tight end, and then Peyton Hendershot. So that's interesting, just to say the least, but all 3 made the roster. John Stevens is hurt. Okay. Let's talk about defense side of the ball really, really quick. DeMarcus Lawrence, Sam Williams, Junior Fehoko made it. We kind of knew that. Not funny. Mozzie Smith is listed as a starter. Jonathan Hankins, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I think they'll rotate both. Osa, Neville made the team. Surprise for me because I thought he would get cut. He made it. Good for you, Neville. We'll see how that works out. Chauncey Golston made it. Michael Parsons, breaking news, made the team. Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler. This is where it gets tricky for me. And not tricky in the sense that I'm glad that these are the guys, but I want to see Devin Harper play. I just want to see if he can handle it. Got Van Der Esch, got Devin Harper. It's been reported that Marquise Bell is going to be moving to that room. We'll see. I think he's personally too small, but we'll see. And Damone Clark. So that's your linebacker crew. And then Donovan Wilson, we'll see when he gets back from injury. J-Ron Curse. Malik Hooker, Izzy. Wanye Thomas. Shout out to you, Wanye. You made the team. You worked for it. Jordan Lewis, Teron Blaine is your nickels. Stephon Gilmore. Eric Scott. Diggs. I had to let that one out, y'all. I'm tired. Noah Igbinoghene. How am I going to say that? And then Deshaun Wright. So, to me, when we talk about the defense, my biggest question is the linebacker position. And the only reason why that's a question is because I had extremely high hopes for Overshawn. Like, if you guys have been with me, you know how much I believed in the Marvin Overshawn. And now he's hurt. And so I like Bell to come in and do some of that curse stuff, but we absolutely positively cannot have an injury. That's it. We cannot have an injury. When it comes to Noah Igbinoghene, watched him a lot at Auburn. Really scrappy player at Auburn. I don't know why it didn't work out in Miami. I'm sure the Cowboys have a pro scout guy who did some work on him and saw some traits. Honestly, it's probably, I would call it a wash getting Noah for Kelvin because, I mean, they're kind of like the same players, more or less. Noah is better he's a true slot. So if he can do some of that at a higher clip, I think maybe you got something, maybe you don't. I'm not gonna go crazy about it, but we'll see. But so that's our roster, guys. Yeah. I mean, that's the truth, Danny Savage. Like, you know me. I don't do the whole super cowboy fan thing. I call spades a spades. I think Kelvin Joseph was a bust. There's no way around it. The potential, he can move, he could do all those things, but he just wasn't. He wasn't locked in on football. I think Noah's probably a little bit more locked in, but he hasn't played good football either. So it is what it is. Like, it's a wash. Like, probably about the same player. So it is what it is. It's like the Spider-Man meme. They all point at each other. So, my bow on this roster is I will give the Cowboys a lot of credit for this roster looks different going in to the Tampa Bay game last year. I mean, it was Noah Brown, Dennis Houston, and CeeDee Lamb. That's your offense last year. That is not your offense this year going into the first game against the Giants. Like, you have guys at the receiver position. You have a running back in that running back room who has real juice. You have running backs behind him who have fresh legs. You are healthy on the offensive line. Knock on wood. Tyron hasn't stepped wrong. The only thing that scares me, and I'll be watching it a lot game one, and I'll do this. with Tyron getting no reps in preseason, I just expect him to have some moments, some bad moments in week one. Tyron Smith. If he gets matched up with Kayvon Thibodeau and on that Giants D line, I expect Tyron to have some bad moments. I do. Unfortunately. Everybody else, I mean, they're a little younger and have been playing at a high clip, but I just people got to remember when Tyron was healthy, he didn't play as well as Tyron has been playing. So he's obviously a lot older. So we'll see. I like what Jackie's saying. I do want to see. I love how this roster is being reconstructed, but I do want to see us stop the run better. The Giants O line still so, but you're playing against Saquon Barkley week one, so we'll see. I'm gonna dive into some of that as well. I when I was watching them play the Jets, I was able to see the Jets kind of push that offensive line around. I don't know if that was the starters, but that Jets D line was really able to kind of have their way. So we'll see. But all in all, I can honestly say this roster has a great mix of young and old. And I think the Stephon Gilmore trade or pick up, trade, release, whatever. Stephon Gilmore's on your team. Brandon Cook's on your team. I think those two free agents or trade you traded for them, what doesn't matter on your team. Mixed with what you were able to do in the draft, mixed with a year of development of Jalen Tolbert. I don't know, man. Like, this is a good roster. It's a really good roster. So, we'll see. Mozzie played much better in preseason game 2. So we'll see. I mean, yeah, 3, 2, whatever. So we'll see. But I think that this roster is better and it's coming into its own. It's coming into its prime years. You got like a 3-year window of your prime with guys like Diggs and Micah. Micah will be in his prime a little bit longer than Diggs, but like they're prime, like they're prime. So I think this roster is good to go. And I'm excited. So it's your boy Foots. That's kind of like my recap. I actually only wanted to go for 30 minutes. I went for 40. So that just shows you how much I love y'all because it's 12 o'clock and I got to get up early. So it's your boy Foots. I actually got another video coming to y'all tomorrow. Thank y'all so much. Can y'all do me one thing, please? Please pound the like button, man. Please pound the like button. That helps the video move around. Please pound the like button. Please send it around to your family and friends. Word of mouth is still the best promotion. It's your boy Fussy. I gotta get some sleep. I'm tired. Y'all always be making fun of me talking about foot sleep. Well, you know what? I'm tired, but I still had to get my thoughts off. Love y'all. Love y'all, chat box. Everybody give me this heart emoji. I love y'all. Peace.